Broadcasting live from the Subaru of Gwinnett studio inside the Gas South Convention Center in Duluth, Georgia, it's time for Gwinnett Business Radio. Gwinnett Business Radio is presented by Regions Bank, Brave the Beginning, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
Well, greetings, everybody, and welcome to an episode where Dan Braverman and Harper LaBelle are the only two in the building, right? Dan, you and I are here without Mike, without Stephen. However, we're not alone. We have a great guest today. We'll introduce him in just a second, but when the cat's away, Dan, the mice will play,
We
right?
can play, Mike he's far away. He's in London right now, or he's on his way to London. I don't know what his time frame is.
Yeah, he's probably en route.
Yes.
Unless he left.
He might be listening.
He probably got up at 3 a.m. to leave the house at 4 a.m. to do his business. But we wish Mike the best as he's away, and then Stephen not with us today. So you and I are going to
2 days
pick
in
up
a
the
row.
pieces. I know
Here.
this is we're asking our listeners to be brave and get through this. But what's going to make it easy for us today in terms of our communication is our guest, Kris Altiere, is with us today. And if we do anything wrong from a communication standpoint, she is going to not only correct us, but she's going to make us get it right. Kris, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here today.
Now, Kris is with, she's the director of marketing. And the great thing about this is Voice Nation, but also she has her connections with Moneypenny, and we'll talk about that. Now, basically, Dan, for those who don't know, Moneypenny, to me, it's a James Bond collection, right? There's Q, and there's all these other folks, 007, but Moneypenny is something completely different. Now, from a business perspective, Kris, enlighten us a little bit about Moneypenny and how you help people connect the dots from a communication standpoint.
Yeah, and so, I mean, obviously, Miss Moneypenny was James Bond's secretary, so there is a little bit of background that is where that name came from. However, you know, as a receptionist that she was, that's very similar to what we do. So we also answer the phones for many, many businesses, and so that's kind of where the name really ties into our business. However, we don't do a lot of the bond type of stuff anymore, but we do answer calls for businesses, small, medium businesses. A lot of times, especially right now, are having challenges with staffing, and so especially in those more administrative roles. And so what we're able to do is really fill that void for those businesses that really need help answering those calls. They're spending marketing dollars to get those leads and to get those phone calls a lot of times. And the small and medium businesses, you know, that's a really big part of their budget sometimes to get those leads. And we help them to not miss those calls so that they can continue to grow their business.
Yeah, I would think that the life cycle is so critically important. I operate a widget company, let's say, and I am really good at making widgets. But if I'm a small company, medium or large, but if I'm small, I have a problem if I've got to get on the phone. Now, I want to get on the phone. I need to call out to people to say, hey, will you want my widgets? But I also need to receive those calls. But when I do that, it takes me away from making widgets. So how do you guys come in and help solve that problem?
Yeah, so a lot of our small and medium business owners are in industries like home services where they're actually not only the one that's needing to take the calls, but they're actually the ones out doing the work. So maybe they're someone that does disaster recovery and they've got someone that's, you know, had a flood or there's been a hurricane and some of the weather like we've experienced. So they're out actually solving the problem and they're missing a lot of calls. And so that's where we really help them. We're able to capture those calls 24/7. We offer bilingual services, no contracts for any of the people that we do business with. We can do overflow. We really customize it to what their needs are. And so they may have days of the week where they're in the office and they can answer the phone. But then they have other times where they're out in the field and they're doing their work, like you said, or they're making their widgets. And it's really, really beneficial for them to have something that's flexible, but also something that gives them the time back for not only them to do the business that they need to do to actually work in their business, but also to be able to have time with their families, right? You know, to be able to have that downtime after hours as a small business owner. sometimes you're on 24/7. And so what we find is that we're able to help them get some of that of their lifestyle back as well.
Is there a customization if I am one of your clients, a business? Because looking through the website, I'm seeing you have accessibility to interconnect with CRMs, with existing Salesforce type of
Correct.
programs that are there. And that in and of itself would be a lifesaver for many businesses, right? Do you integrate well with what we're doing? But I wrote down also their form population. That's an interesting one where when I had to stop and think, okay, a lot of paperwork that needs to be done that takes time away from somebody else. Can this be auto-filled by somebody who's on the phone that gives information that your system is able to recognize it, put it down on paper, and make it easier for everybody else to distribute that information the way it needs to be done?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as part of our onboarding process, we get that information from the customer and we set up exactly what their needs are. So if, for example, they would like us to answer calls and help them book appointments and put notes in there for those appointments, we're able to do that per what their needs are for their business. And it's a different thing for every business, right? And so we're able to adapt to that. And our amazing onboarding team is the one that is really behind understanding what you need to get into your CRM or what type of appointment scheduler we need to be filling at and how you like your phone answered and what you need us to do for you. And it does vary from business to business.
So let's just say there's an A to Z list of things that you're able to accomplish. If I want A, I don't really need B, but I want C, D, and E. You're able to help. That's part of the customization process. So
Absolutely.
do I visit with somebody from the company that will sit down with me? Is it a lengthy type of a process for a person like me to be able to get all the things that I would need and go over the menu? Tell me about that process.
No,
how
not
that
at all.
works.
I mean, it obviously starts with our sales team, sort of determining your needs. We have a process where we kind of ask, how many calls do you think you get a month, and we start with that for our pricing. From there, that goes over to our onboarding team, and then they have a list of questions and stuff that they will ask to determine exactly what your needs are. So in that process, they determine, you need A and C, but you don't need B and D and E, right? And so they really set it up specifically to your business needs. Obviously, we have businesses everywhere from a single owner all the way up to multi-location type businesses that have very, very different needs. And so we're able to not only scale our team either direction, but we're also able to keep that very custom to their business. The whole thing about what our business wants to be is we don't want to just be that typical call center that you kind of hear about. We don't outsource, to India and to other places. We like all of our receptionists to be U.S. based as much as possible. We do have some overflow that we near shore, but that is on a very case by case basis. And then we really want people to be trained as though they actually are sitting in your own business. So we don't want someone to call your business and you to think they're calling a call center. We want them to think they're calling you. And so that's what our onboarding team does, is they really learn about you and your business, and then we go and make sure that the receptionists we select to work with your business are also very much trained in how to represent your business properly.
Well, a lot of great stuff there. Now, real quick before we, if I order A, B, and C, but I don't want D now, let's say I'm not bilingual, but I want to be later. Can we add on or tweak the system as time progresses?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So bilingual and 24/7 are not extra costs. Anyone can have them if they want them. And so we don't charge anything extra for that. So if you start out and you're like, I don't really need those things, but then you decide, we just kind of put that back in, and there's no additional cost for that.
And so the art of making sure that you have exactly what your clientele wants is a part of it. Now let's talk a little bit about the science. I would imagine that there is a time stopwatch type of calculation that is done that people start to get angry after 15 seconds or 12 seconds. You're smiling. Am I on? How do you help beat that in terms of getting the person that calls your business to who they need to talk to? There's got to be a resolution for that, right? But that's one of the main things that you guys do is we make it quicker, we do it better, we do it faster, correct?
Right. And I mean, and that is our job, to answer those calls as quickly as possible and quicker than you can answer them. And so really that depends on, sometimes we have people that are like, hey, I don't want you to answer the call unless I can't answer the call. So in other words, we might say, all right, if it's not answered in 3 rings, then it's going to roll to us and we're going to answer it. But then we have other people that are like, we just want you to answer the call. And so in that case, we need to answer it as soon as possible. So usually within, 1 to 2 rings, we're grabbing those calls. A lot of businesses get a lot of spam calls as well. And so that can be really frustrating, but that's where
voter information that they want to have that we're smiling. We had that one just recently.
Yes. So we are able to help them sort of mitigate some of that stuff as well, filtering those calls out for their business.
Can you help a person like my 98-year-old father who pushes the wrong button on the menu on purpose sometimes and then just wants to yell at the phone, but he just wants to talk to somebody at the other end? I imagine that the spectrum of that, people wanting directions we want to know your hours, we want to know what's your availability to fix the widget that I bought. All of that is all different, and the training is obviously a big portion of what you do there, right?
Right. And I mean, and what you're referring to is, the IVR systems that a lot of people just get really annoyed with and just want to talk to a person. But honestly, our business...
Have you ever been annoyed at someone else's company?
Very, very much. I'm a person that hits 0 100 times until I get to a person.
Receptionist.
Representative.
Do you do that?
Over and over and over again.
Guilty.
Guilty. But where we come in is, I think a lot of businesses know that people find that frustrating. And so our company offers something that avoids that feeling for people, right? So by offering a live person to answer your phone and appearing as though that person is part of your business, people are sort of going to start to get away a little bit more from that IVR. And this is a very cost-effective solution as well.
Is there a fairness that needs to be in place where if I'm the public calling and I can recognize that they're at a call center, that I kind of give you a little bit of a break? The guy is busy, he's a mechanic, or he's fixing the widgets, he's doing his job, or she, and I can't reach him right this second, but at least, thank goodness, I've got somebody who can hear my specific plea and isn't a robot. We want to talk about that a little bit, right?
We'll talk about
we're
that
going
later.
in the direction of AI, but for right now, I want to have somebody who can hear me and empathize with what my need is, because it may be a little bit different than just what are your store hours and how do I get directions to the place, right? Simple things, but that's a key to keeping somebody on the line too, right? It's important.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's where the onboarding process, again, like we go through the scripting with them. What types of calls do you want us to take? What do you want us to do with those calls? What are some things that you need our help with? I mean, is it giving people directions? I mean, you can imagine the gamut of businesses that we cover. I mean, we have over 6,000 customers in all the different industries that you can imagine. And so
big, small, everywhere in between.
Big,
what are some of the big,
what
are some of the big ones, and how do they differentiate?
Is there any industries you specialize in particular?
Yeah, so I mean, we very much specialize in legal. We have a separate sales team for that. We have separate receptionist pool for that. We're doing the same thing for other industries, for healthcare, for home services, for finance. So we and real estate. And so we really take a lot of pride in, especially like for our legal, for example, in having those receptionists be really, not only really good at answering legal calls and knowing what it's like to essentially work in a legal office, and take those types of calls. But also we have receptionists that are very excited about working in legal, and they're very passionate about it. We even have some that are learning to be paralegals right now, and they feel that working as a receptionist for us, even for these legal offices that we represent, that they're learning a lot of skills for that job. And so, it goes back to our people. So our people really are loving what they do, and they're representing your business in a very positive light because of that.
And I would venture to say that the receptionist that has been working at the legal office is already doing paralegal stuff and being pulled away. There are many hats that they have to wear.
Absolutely.
So you free them up so that they can do more of what they really need to do, or what the quote unquote the boss needs them to do. And that's with any business, not just with legal. Or what was one of the other ones?
Healthcare, real estate. I mean,
real estate, for
all
example.
of them, and financial. You've got tax season coming up, so we've got some very busy accounting and CPA firms that that we're working with and helping. So, it's very much about what that business needs. We don't have a cookie cutter methodology of answering the phone, right? It's you come to us, you need us to answer your calls, and we ask you how you want us to answer your calls and what you need us to do for you, because we are really wanting to appear as though we work for your company.
Oh, absolutely, right? And then you actually do, because
Yes.
I would imagine if I'm the widget company, you've got to ask, you're doing your research too on the widgets and how we do it and who do I need to get in your company. Is it just me or is it Dan? Who else are we getting in touch with, and how do we help resolve the problem from the person that's on the other end of the phone?
Absolutely, because there are times where you have to escalate a call to that business, directly, and so we learn in the onboarding at what points those might be. And so, yes, we do have to really learn about the businesses as well.
So if it's a big problem, we're going to send it to Dan, not me, right? You're going to send it to Dan.
I don't know.
Your involvement specifically, you've been with the company a few months now, and head of marketing.
Yeah,
this
US
is
head of marketing.
U.S. But I'm sure you visit with a lot of the overseas, different areas, worldwide. This is a global company.
Our headquarters is over in Wrexham, and we also have an exciting year this year. We're celebrating 25 years.
Oh, congratulations.
So 25 years of Moneypenny. We've been in the U.S. for 10. And so
Silver anniversary, right? Dan and I need to get you what it would be, Benjamin Franklin silver dollar, or the John F. Kennedy ones.
so.
I think pre-63.
I'd prefer a Bitcoin if we could get one of those.
Oh, yeah, that'd be
We'll try to get our hands on a Bitcoin.
Even a fraction of one.
Yeah, $10,000 later. How'd that go for you?
And does Moneypenny have a relationship with the Wrexham soccer team owned by Ryan Reynolds? And
Absolutely,
Rob McElhenney?
they've definitely been part of our UK headquarters history.
All right.
We've had special guest in our headquarters there during the time that Ryan Reynolds owned the soccer team. He made some visits to our office, and actually, if you've watched the show about Wrexham, I think it's on Netflix. Actually, our office, our UK headquarter office, is in that actual series. So,
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's pretty
Have
cool.
you been to a match?
I
have
have
you been
not
on the
yet.
pitch?
I have not yet.
Now, you're a War Eagle girl, right? Auburn?
I'm Auburn, but I do like soccer, so
Oh, okay.
I'm really excited or football, as I should call it, right?
Which one, American or really
both,
worldwide?
both, yeah, both kinds of football.
What was it like the first time you were on, not the pitch, but at Jordan-Hare Stadium? Was that kind of a cool place to be on a Saturday afternoon in the fall?
I was such a little kid the first time I went there. Like I just remember being in awe. I mean, I was there as a little kid in the '80s when Bo Jackson played. So,
Oh, wow.
So I think one of my favorite moments was being about 9 or 10 years old, maybe, and he had just won the Heisman, and he was down on the field signing pictures for all the kids on one of the A-Day weekends, and I was one of the kids down there and got to meet him.
This
so,
is little
yeah.
girl Kris, right?
Oh, little, little,
Yeah,
little
and
girl.
then you had the passion, and you end up making your academics ended up there,
Yeah.
correct?
I went to college there. Ended up finishing up at Kennesaw State here, but I did spend some time at Auburn as well. So
Now, I've never been to Toomer's Mill, but I hear that the toilet paper is got to
Toomer's
be.
Corner.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so I messed up a couple times here.
Yeah, it's okay.
You've never been there. Now, my brother went there, and he talks about it all the time.
It's amazing.
The community is really tight, and
tight.
Even after you're done, it seems to be there's a great affinity for that particular part of the globe where it was special.
It's very special.
And it
there.
remains special even afterwards.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're trying to make Moneypenny very similar to that, a special place not only to work, but for other people to get their problem solved.
Yeah.
And to help with communication issues that you would have.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, we're very passionate about Moneypenny, about our culture, and we're very passionate about how our culture reflects onto the businesses that we serve. So our people are what make us who we are, and we know that. And we really, really want to treat everyone, as good as they need to be treated. And so that's really what one of our differentiators is in the industry is our people. And we take a lot of pride in that, not only in our UK office, but also here in the US. I don't know if any of you have ever been to our office. It's right across the street from here, essentially. But, you walk in and you just can feel that. The second you walk in, you can feel the culture. It's actually built to be a replica of our UK office on the inside.
Okay.
And so when you go in, there's a lot of things in there that represent that UK office to really tie us together as a company. And we really, really take a lot of pride in that feeling for everyone, that feeling of connection.
Do me a favor if you can. Where was the company 5, 10, 20 years ago when it first began? And even though you weren't a part of it, but just I'm saying, what's the growth and the change, not only from a technology standpoint, but just the expansion of we can do this and we can do it a little bit more than we did last year because we are making people happy. We're keeping them from a business standpoint. They're productive during those times where you can't do both. You can't answer the phone or be on it and still doing the widget making. So explain a little bit of that process, and then where do you see in the next 5, maybe 10 years, if we can go out that far?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, Moneypenny in the UK is celebrating 25 years. We've had the US side of the business for 10. But however, the U.S. side of the business came around in 2020 and 2021 when we acquired a U.S.-based answering service here called Voice Nation.
Mm-hmm.
We still operate a lot of our U.S. business as Voice Nation as well. And Voice Nation has actually been a U.S. telephone answering service for 25 years this year as well. And so we merged those together essentially to create what we have now in the U.S. And one of the big reasons for that with Voice Nation is they had amazing technology behind their systems that would allow us to scale our operation more and to serve more businesses. And so when Moneypenny made this acquisition, it was a lot about the people, a lot about being in the U.S. and having a bigger presence in the U.S., but it was also really about the technology and the platform that we use. That's a proprietary platform that makes not only our receptionists work a lot easier when they're taking the calls and understanding how to work a call, but it also gives the business owners the ability to utilize an app and a dashboard to see reporting on their calls, to see information about their calls real time, to see minutes that they've used and where they are in their plans, to make billing changes and all kinds of other great features that they have from a technological perspective that they may not get otherwise for their business.
Yeah, you mentioned the 25 years, but the 10 most recently in terms of the Voice Nation connection. And one of the things that I thought was interesting, I'm looking at some of the, caller info gathering. There's an unlimited employee contact where I imagine the employees at wherever they are across the globe, they can call in and they can find out who's been trying to reach them. I'm sure there's more to that. Mm-hmm. But one of the things, the online dashboard management. Now, I didn't know what that was especially, but I would imagine 10 years ago there was no online dashboard management. So different.
Yeah, probably not.
Different things that you have that are portions of the features and benefits of the package of working with you that would be a benefit to your clientele and customer base, not only now, but in the future.
Right. And like I said, there's two sides of our platform. There's that customer side, and then there's the side that our receptionists use to make their work more efficient. Mm-hmm. And so it's really, to benefit both. I mean, it is our responsibility to not only, serve your business, but we also want our employees to be happy, to be efficient, to have an easy way of doing their job, not have things not be complicated for them. I mean, we have some of our pools that are obviously answering calls for multiple businesses back to back, and so we want to make sure that when that call comes in, they know exactly who they're answering the call for, and they can make sure that they're representing that business and that it's not very robotic. And so some of our technology gives them the ability to quickly understand who's on the other side of that call and what their role is going to be for that particular caller that's coming in.
Yeah, well, you mentioned robots and or robotics. How do you feel about that? Because I'm still apprehensive yet. I don't know. I understand that if a robot can do something faster than a person can do it, I get it. However, I don't want to talk to a robot. I'd rather be able to connect with a person. And so there's a disconnect for me. Am I the only one out there that's like that, or are there a lot of folks that are not ready yet to give that over?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be people that aren't ready. We've experienced a lot of that. Our stance on AI right now, and we are developing some AI products, but
And who isn't, right? It's
who
almost everywhere.
who isn't? If we weren't there, we
He's not telling me this, but Dan is already trying to replace me with AI. He doesn't want. He's going to tell me on my birthday, right?
But
Or
yeah,
some
I don't know.
great
I don't know
time.
if that's going to be possible, though. I mean, but yeah, I mean, we are very much about our people, and so our approach to AI right now is how can we use AI to superpower our people, and so that is really our first iteration of bringing AI into our business. Is we're utilizing it to superpower our people. We're using it to help them answer complex questions on calls more efficiently, being able to have things come up on the screen that the bots are transcribing for them and really helping them with the calls, helping them with note taking of the calls, different things like that that now most businesses like ours are doing more manually. So we're putting those types of activities in place to superpower our agents, right?
To assist them, to help them,
Yes.
make it easier,
Yes.
faster, quicker, all of those things.
All
that
of
we
those
touch-
things.
for the people that are there to help you
Exactly.
experience quicker, faster, right?
And
Okay.
then on the other side, we would be remiss if we didn't have on our roadmap some sort of AI only type of offering to offer to people in the future. And so we are working on something like that. But again, it's not to replace people. It is to very much be a basic message taking with a person kind of monitoring it and stepping in when they need to take over. And I honestly feel like for businesses that use IVR, that AI is probably going to replace that first. For those businesses that are like, oh, I don't need a person answering my phone. I've just got this phone tree, right? So the next thing they're going to say is, okay, well, I could use AI for that. It's about the same cost as the IVR system, and it's not really a person, but people will think it's a person.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anyone's heard some of the AI that's out there answering calls, or if you saw the story about Wendy's that was on the news this past weekend about them using it for the drive-thrus.
Yeah, I went to Arby's
Yeah.
like a month or two
Yeah.
ago, and it was AI.
Yeah, so
Good experiences or bad? Tell us a little bit about, or is it indifferent right now? We still
well,
making up our
you'll,
mind?
you'll have to answer the
Well, I
question.
mean, I could definitely
about
tell.
the
I
Arby's.
mean, I
Yeah.
didn't think it was a human. I could definitely tell it was AI, but they got my order right.
Yeah. And I think if you saw the story on the news over the weekend, it was the same philosophy as what we're going to do. Is like there's still a person that's in there that's looking at your order, that's making sure that it's getting it right. But the advantages for some companies in the future for AI, I think, are going to be around languages, right? I mean, it's going to be really. I mean, if someone comes to us and says, I get people who speak Portuguese, Spanish, we can handle no problem, French, all these other languages, and I want you guys to be able to answer all those calls. Well, having an AI agent that our person is assisting is going to allow us to be able to do some of that type of work, which I think, in the United States, as we are a melting pot here, it's something that is very critical.
However, also in Europe, that is critical, right?
Right.
Because you've said Portuguese, you've got French, you've got Italian, you've got
Yeah,
other
yeah.
languages that
Yeah.
I would imagine that the translation aspect of that would be a great benefit, because I could still speak English and speak to someone who doesn't speak English, and through the translator
Right.
have the ability to go, yeah, I'll have
Right.
10 widgets for you in a half hour.
Right. And even if we just use AI to assist one of our regular human receptionists, then, they, like you said, they could be transcribing what that person's saying, and that person could be reading it, and maybe they could be being prompted to help work with them a little bit better. But there are companies like ours that are popping up everywhere right now that are only AI agents. Like they have no real people working there other than the people that are probably developing these bots. And we don't ever foresee ourselves being a company like that.
Okay.
People is our passion, right?
Yeah.
People's our passion. So we are just talking about it from the level of we're superpowering. And then if someone comes to us and says, hey, I would really prefer AI over a human because the cost is more effective or efficient for me and my business, then we'll have that, they'll be able to make that choice, right? But we're never going to be in a place where we're going to make that choice for people. So you're never going to hire us and think you're getting a person, but then start to get a bot answering your phone. That's not at all what our intentions are.
Director of Marketing in the United States for Moneypenny. Kris Altiere is with us. And Kris, talk a little bit about the growth of the company in terms of when you got here 8 months ago.
6 months ago.
Okay. Was there a certain part or region of the United States that you say, "Why this is wide open? We don't have any representation here"? You're in Atlanta.
Yes.
Obviously, you are specifically, but I'm just saying, is your plan to go west, east, north, south? What is in the foreseeable future, not only for your specific roles and duties, but obviously for the companies?
Yeah, for the U.S., we are focusing on growing some sectors. We have 5 key sectors that we're focused on growing, and then geographically, we feel like we'd love to own Atlanta. There's so many great businesses here that could use our services. So we're really wanting to focus a lot on the Southeast. And the 5 sectors that we're really working to grow is home services, so your plumbers, your HVAC, your pest control, your glass installers, all of those types of businesses, tree services, landscapers. I mean, the list goes on and on, obviously, under that category. So we're really wanting to develop those out. And then as well, healthcare, specifically those small to medium-sized, practices and smaller centers that could be, in need of our help to, you've got the busy person at the front desk that can't do it all, and we could help them with some overflow and 24 hours type of stuff, bilingual as well. Then we want to do real estate. We've already got customers in all of these sectors, so we're just wanting to grow those customer base in those. As well as the financial services, industry. So those are really the ones that we want to focus the most on, and then and in the Southeast predominantly, because this is where home is for us in the U.S. And so why not help our neighbors with their businesses is how we really feel about it.
Well, you told us before we went on air you're a Florida girl originally, and I thought about a few years ago someone had told me that in Florida there are 700 people a day that are moving into the state, that are either leaving from the Rust Belt or some other place. 700 a day. That's a lot of change.
My mom's in real estate there. I can confirm.
Okay. It may be $6.99 or whatever, but we get that. But Atlanta, now you've got Memphis, I would say. Maybe not so much Memphis as much as Nashville is growing like crazy. And if you're in the Southeast, you're talking about some of these other. Charlotte has grown tremendously over the past decade.
North Carolina.
So how do you reach out to the little landscaper as well as the big law firm? There's no in between, but what are you doing to help reach out to them to let them know that you're available and you're ready to talk?
Yeah, I mean, our strategy for marketing is multifaceted. So, I think everyone's buying journey is a little bit different. And so we just want to make sure we're on every part of that journey. So whether it's a local association that they might be part of, whether it's social media, whether it's just educational content that we're getting out to them. I mean, who knows? You might start seeing us on some billboards if that's what's going to work for some of these people that are driving around in a van all day going crazy because their phone's ringing and they're trying to also work at the same time.
They can't mow the lawn while they're on the phone, right?
Exactly. So our approach is going to be really knowing that journey of their buying decision and making sure that we're represented in every part of it. So we just, my colleague and I just got back from Orlando for a critter control event, which is a pest control franchise. And so we like to work a lot with franchises as well. So we like to be sort of, if there's a franchise, we have Critter Control, Glass Guru, or 2 that we have in the home services industry, and we have 1 or 2 customers, and then we work with that franchise, and then all of a sudden, all these people that are buying into this business now also are getting our services. That is a way we want to grow in some of those industries as well.
I would imagine also, in terms of your growth, you want to reach out and affect more companies and be able to do that, but you also need to staff and have enough people working for you. So there's a little bit of both. Talk a little bit about that. If I'm listening or I know somebody who's really great on the phone and is looking for some work, where would they want to go?
Yeah, so I mean, they can go to our website. They can either go to voicenation.com or they can go to moneypenny.com/US. They can go to our career pages, and they can see all the open opportunities that we currently have. And we also, we're not only always looking for receptionist roles. We have many other roles that we're always looking for as we grow. Like I said, we currently have 6,000 customers, but
So you need a sales force, right? You need
we
people.
we have a great sales force. So we have a BDR team and an SME team, and the BDR team is obviously kind of our outbound. They're the ones calling and asking people for meetings and if they can help their businesses. And then our inside sales team, our SME team, is the one taking a lot of those inquiries that come through our site for live chat, from web forms, from some of the advertising that we're running. And so we always, and we have a great client success team as well that is always going to have to grow also to support those customers as they come on.
Are you the one with the whip driving everybody? The lion tamer out there getting everybody going.
I think
numbers, hit the quota, right?
I think marketing always is the one in the middle of everything for some reason.
Well, in a way, you actually you are.
Yeah,
you
have to be. I think you really have to be.
You have to. I mean, with due respect, I'm saying there are a lot of different plates that you have to keep spinning in order for the company. You're a critical part of that, but you have to recognize, hey, here's a weakness here. We got to get that to become a strength real quick. We have to make sure that our employees are happy. We have to make sure that they are well trained and they exude everything that we need to do, as well as the bottom line that is a part of it as well. What am I missing? Is there a certain portion of your daily tasks that I didn't hit? Well.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of as the U.S. head of marketing, I have one colleague stateside who's on my team, or on this side of the pond, as we like to say.
Yeah.
But the remainder of the marketing team that I work with is over in Wrexham. And so, a big part of my day is just it's educating sometimes, because I have a lot of people on that team who haven't been to the U.S. before. They're not as familiar with the U.S. market. And so the 6 months I've been here, a lot of it has been like, hey, let's try this, let's do this, because I know this works in the U.S. market. Whereas, it can be very different. It can be very different in the UK with how you market things. So
discuss that a little bit, because not only are there cultural and business differences,
right.
but there's food. And when you go out to entertain, so when you come here to Atlanta, you're going to have some ribs, right? You're going to bring and a lot of folks.
Well, we try to take people and get them to try grits and things like that. They've never heard of them before.
They better go to Waffle House.
Yeah.
Oh, we have taken people to Waffle House for sure, like that. And actually, when I was over in Wrexham in October, they were asking me about Waffle House. So
were they really?
Oh yeah.
Now, did you hit them up with I want some blood pudding or whatever else it is? There's
no.
certain things
I won't eat that black pudding stuff. No,
Yeah. Okay.
no.
Never mind.
No,
I'll go
no,
hungry
no.
before I have some of that.
No. But yeah, I mean, there are some very big differences in marketing in both sides. I mean, the U.S. is very price sensitive, right?
Okay.
So we have to be very conscious of that in our marketing, whereas in the U.K. it's not. And also, our business in the U.K. has been there for 25 years. They're in a very small town. Most of the people that work in that office, some of them have family members that own businesses that we serve. And so they're essentially a household name, right? Whereas you come to the United States and telephone answering, and there's, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of similar businesses that we're competing with,
right.
And we're not a household name, right? So there is a very different marketing tactic and approach that the team has to sort of divide their time between, and also have an understanding of. And so like I said, a lot of my time is really helping to educate that team so they feel comfortable with all the work that we're doing for the U.S. now.
Yeah, I would imagine if I walked in and said, hey, I'd love a job, whether it be on the phone or sales or whatever else that you would need, just sweeping up the trash or the dirt on the floor, the cultural difference would be I'd need to be aware of that in one respect or another, because the company is English and they're overseas. But I don't think that would be a barrier. I think that would kind of open up my experience, and then just knowing the name and how to use that and take advantage of it rather than have it be a detriment. I think that's awesome.
I mean, a lot of people that come work with us really love that we have that international culture side of the business.
Yeah.
Like I said before, our culture is a differentiator, but it's also a differentiator that we do have this whole like UK family over there that we do stuff together, even though we're across thousands of miles away from each other. We still do stuff together. together. We still have, a workplace dialogue where we can see everything they're doing, and we share stories and we share pictures, and our employees share when they have a baby, and we can see the baby that was born over at that office by those receptionists and things like that. So we do stay really connected with each other. And so it is really, really nice, because I think it's nice to learn about other cultures too. And so we're giving a lot of our receptionists and a lot of our employees opportunities to learn about culture. As part of the 25-year anniversary, for example, we're going to be sending 3 of our employees and staff members over to the celebration party over at our Wrexham office, so they can be part of that. So we do try to really ingrain the two cultures together.
Well, they can have some fish and chips, no blood pudding, at least not for you.
Not for me.
But your football and their football is completely different. But it's
Completely
okay.
different.
It's okay,
Yeah.
because we are there to come together and help our customers and get them better service, provide quicker, faster, easier ways to communicate with what they eventually would need and why they called in the first place.
Yeah.
You're there to assist with that.
And we want them to have people answering the phones that they would have hired themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ultimately it. Someone that's representing their office the way they would like their office represented, or their business represented. So that's really what our mission is.
Well, thank you for expressing that. I appreciate you doing that. Kris Altiere has been our guest today. She is the U.S. Head of Marketing for Moneypenny. If you want to go to Moneypenny, get a hold of somebody, what's the best way to reach you specifically, Kris, or just the company?
Yeah, I mean, you can visit our website anytime, and our phone number's on there. You can just call and ask one of our receptionists. Answer our calls too.
You get a real live person.
Yeah,
you do.
our team answers our calls as well. So
Yeah.
when you call, you'll actually experience our receptionists that would potentially be answering your call, and you can ask them to speak
So
to
moneypenny.com.
Yep.
Penny,
/US.
P-E-N-N-Y.
Yep.
Okay,
And,
excellent.
or you can go to voicenation.com as well. So
Absolutely.
we have both sites.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, we could talk about your marathoning and
My travel, my Iron Manning.
Ironman.
I mean, if you want to, that's up to you.
Mike's not here. We can go as long as we
We'll
want.
do a different show on
Chris
that.
hostage.
Yeah.
Do a
'Cause that-
3-hour
I mean,
podcast.
as a U.S. head of marketing, a mom of 3, a wife, and I'm a pretty hardcore.
Yeah, what else do you do? What else?
Ironman.
Come on,
I mean-
is that it? Yeah.
I mean, my time is pretty busy, but it's also pretty fun.
Well, Kris, thank you very much for being a part of the show today. We appreciate it. We always love having great guests on, and love is what makes a Subaru at 2950 Satellite Boulevard, just 2 blocks north of the Gwinnett Place Mall. Their number is 470-824-3860. You can look at the Impreza, the Ascent, the Legacy. Look at the BRX. Just go online at Subaru.com and SubaruofGwinnett.com and look at the BRX. You'll be so surprised. It's a great car. You're going to love it. You love the pricing. You love the technology that they have, the way that they put their engine together. These cars are made to last. What a great value. So visit SubaruofGwinnett.com. You can join their family today, or you can come on in and see the difference. Dan, what did I miss today? What did I skip and forget to do? Is there anything that you can think of right off the top of your head?
I don't think so. I think, I think Mike. If Mike were here, he'd be seething with how long we kept going.
We spent a little
Yeah.
time with Kris.
Yeah, but it was good. I mean, how can you not though? We learned a lot. I want to hire Kris to just or Moneypenny to answer some of my phone calls, just
Absolutely.
personal calls. Like
Yeah.
if my mom calls
we
me.
can do that.
Hey,
Yeah, we
Or,
can absolutely do
when
that.
Mike calls me, I don't want to answer.
I don't want
his
to answer
calls.
that call.
No.
Yeah, I'm busy. I'm making widgets or doing something more important than talking to you. And what a great thrill to have that. So again, Kris, thank you for being on the show. For Dan Braverman, I'm Harper LaBelle. We appreciate you tuning in to Gwinnett Business Radio here at the Gas South Convention Center. We hope you have a great day, everybody. Thank you for being a part of the show, and we'll have another one for you very soon. Next week, we'll have another guest. So we appreciate it. Have a great day, everybody.